Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Reading Room right here on Freedom Square TV. Now, on Reading Room, we explore the power of reading and how it helps us develop knowledge, language, and critical thinking. Reading, as we all know, plays a very important role in our lives. It helps us learn new ideas, understand the world around us, and most importantly, improve our language skills. So no matter the profession you're in, no matter what you do, you actually need to read. It's very, very important. And so today on the program, we'll be discussing the topic, reading as a tool for language development. Reading as a tool for language development. And like I did say, reading helps us improve vocabulary, grammar, our writing ability, and our overall communication skill. And that's the reason why we have our guest today. So in the studio, joining me this afternoon is somebody who is a graduate, right? And interestingly, she will tell us her story because she's also a red carpet host, and she has done a lot of things for herself, even at this very, very young age. So in the studio, we have Miss Oluoma Paul Okafor. Miss Oluoma Paul, good afternoon and welcome to Reading Room.
Good afternoon, Beta Pikin. Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing fine for now.
You're fine.
We want to push further. Okay.
All right. So my name is Lilian Ezinwa, and I'm super excited to have you join me today. But as well, you can call me Beta Pikin. So, Miss Oluoma,
yes,
you are a graduate,
of course,
and I would love you to tell our viewers your story and how you became a red carpet host. Because from when we're talking off camera, you said you didn't read mass communication, and I was like, wow, but you do so well in hosting events and all that. So what's your story and what course did you study in school?
Okay, so I studied English and Literary Studies in ESUT, and how it all started was back then in school. I was one of executives. I was the departmental financial secretary. So as a leader, there's a point where there's a need for something to be filled up. So I opened a drama theater with the president. So he needed someone that is going to do interviews with students, because there was a particular conference we were trying to host. So it got to that point. I kind of gave some people things to do, some levels, 100 level, 200 level, 300 level, because they were I was social then, so they were all close to me, and I kind of like communicated well with them. So that particular day, I came with a microphone and all, but some of them were too shy to talk because people were kind of walking around, and you know, when you're
scared.
Yes, they were scared. And you know, this kind of thing that you are in front of the faculty, you are standing in front of the faculty, and people are walking, even lecturers. So I kind of took the microphone, and then I started doing interviews. I started doing the hosting by myself, and I was asking questions. I started with 100 level students. I think her name is Moana. So that's how I started, and then from there I've been going for hosting of events from different places.
That's wonderful. Your story is quite unique, and I know we have young girls out there who have not actually understood what they really want to do, because studying English and literary studies, for people, they'll say, oh, you're supposed to be a teacher. And now you're in the broadcast environment. I know you do TV, and as well you're on radio. So how does that add up for someone who read English and literary studies?
So back then, when I wanted to enter into the university, my dream was mass communication. So I don't know, along the line, I kind of find myself in a TV serum. Like, I'm seeing TV, I'm seeing radio. Like, so when road jam. So I couldn't enter mass communication. They said that mass communication is filled up, and then it's from like 300 up. So I kind of applied for, they took me for English and Literary Studies. I didn't like the course because it's kind of like English and I don't want to do anything relating to teaching. So there's something called, they have orientation for 100 level students. So it was in that orientation that I got to find out some things, that even as a English student, you can do many things. You can venture into writing, you can be an editor, you can talk, you can be a speaker, and then you can be a host. There are many things to do, and then you can join theater arts. So when I entered 300 level, there are many courses that as a student they are going to give you to do, and then some of them I did interviews in my 200 level. We did voicing, then we did content, we did drama. I wore an Ankara, we acted, and then the acting, you now bring masquerade. They're trying to bring in this skill apart from you coming to school, you writing exam. There are many things. There are also content. There's this girl that is working with Destiny Etiko. She's in 400 level currently. Her name is Clara. She's working with Destiny Etiko, and she's doing well for herself in the movie industry, because she's very well in the movie industry. So I feel like,
and she's your classmate?
No, she's not my classmate. She's from 400 level now. She's about to graduate.
Okay.
But many people are looking up to her because she stood up for herself. She started with this actor. What's her name? This actor, she's just like Princess Ozoko. She started with her, and
Ebele Okaro.
Yes, Ebele Okaro. So now she's now working with Destiny Etiko on YouTube. She's fair, she's slim, working with Destiny Etiko. So she's doing well for herself. Apart from coming to school, there are other things as an English and Literary Studies student that you can do as well.
Okay, so now let's begin by asking, because you made mention of writing, you made mention of reading. So I would ask, what does reading mean to you, and why do you think it is important for language development as a graduate of English and Literary Studies?
Well, I would say reading is one of an important tool as a student, not just an English and Literary Studies student, but it's quite important if you're an accounting student, mass communication student. Every student needs reading, because you cannot enter into an exam hall without reading. So I feel like that reading is quite important, and it will help you in your language use, because when you are not fluent in speaking, you bring in pidgin English and normal English, and you collab the both of them together. When you are speaking to people, they cannot comprehend, because you are not in that same mindset with them. And then your language, sometimes there are different types of language styles, just like the formal, informal. Maybe when you are writing, just like you said, when you are writing a different kind of thing. You don't know when to use your commas, your paragraph, and all. So I think reading will help to broaden people's mindsets as well.
Okay, so you made mention of something, that reading is important not just for students but for everybody. And even as a student, you have to read for you to pass an exam. So are you of the opinion that, I should only read because there is an exam, not because I want to gain knowledge, but let me pass this exam, let's just read because of the exam?
No, I'm not in support of it, because there's this kind of thing that a week before your exam, you're already having this fever that you will not do well in this exam because you did not start from time. When your lecturer comes into the class, or your teacher comes into the class and gives a handout, and he says, he writes something and says, oh, read this, you have to go through it, you have to cross-check. There are some big grammars that even at this age some people cannot comprehend, they don't understand, but that's why dictionary is there. When you read, you understand. But when you feel like this reading is not important, maybe you just want to leave it or sort it out later on. So I feel like reading is quite important for us, not only us
for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, you said something. You talked about expression, because what a lot of people struggle with expressing themselves properly. But you've been able to tell us here today that if you read, when you see new words, your dictionary comes in handy. You check out the meaning of that word, or you look for a thesaurus where you check a similar word that could be used in place of that word. So what it means basically is that reading helps improve vocabulary.
Yes.
Okay, so reading, we know from what you've said, also exposes people to proper sentence construction for what you've said. So how does reading now help individuals understand grammar and correct language usage?
How does reading help people correct grammar?
Yes,
so,
understand grammar.
Okay, so I'll give you just a brief story. So I was in 300 level second semester. The current HOD of the department now, of my former department, she came into the class, and then she said there was this word she said. She was now calling names of people that did well in that grammar, because she's in charge of the grammar. And then she now said it's not about you writing a long paragraph or a long speech for her, but what she's checking is your grammar correct? Is it okay? Because when you are talking to someone, for example, I'm talking to you, and then I'm not putting my grammars in a way that is going to align well. For example, I'm saying how will I put it? I'll say, okay, for example, this boy Seth. How is the Seth entering inside? So you have to put your grammars in a way, because when you read, you kind of know how to put your grammars. You know how to put some punctuation marks. You know how to say some words that needs putting, because there are some words that is very, very important. Because just like some presidents, when they're about to give a speech, there are some big grammars that they'll give. You'll be like, oh, you don't know this grammar. So that is where reading comes in. We need to read more.
Okay, so you know, most of the questions I'll be asking you are based on what you've said. And another important aspect of language development is writing, which from your story you've said that reading helps you to be you'll be able to scribble down something and meaningful things. So in your opinion now, how does reading influence a person's writing ability? How does it influence it?
Okay, so reading helps in writing, because when you read and you understand, you write. When they bring exam scripts to us, if you do not read that thing, you will not know what you're writing. That is for a fact. You are copying from somebody, but you don't understand what you're writing. And if the person is failing, you don't know. If the person is writing a different thing that is not correct, because you did not read that particular subject, you will not understand. You will not know what you are writing. If the person writes, for example, if the person writes objective, you'll be like, no, it's not objective, this is theory. So you will know what you are writing because you read it. But when you did not read and you are also doing another thing, you can be able to correct the person and say, oh, I read this is this is that. Because that's it. So for young people and students who want to improve their language skills, as a graduate of English and Literary Studies, what would be what advice would you give them about developing a reading habit? Because for young people, you've given a clear example. What we are familiar with is watching YouTube and all that. Okay, so as a student, I'll advise you read not only handouts, not only what you are given, but also read from other places, from journals, from newspapers. You watch TVs, not only just you are watching just normal movie. Sometimes the movies that we are watching is also teaching us something, because there are some words that they are writing in the subtitle that you are meant to pick and then search and say, oh, what is this? Because somebody might tell you that word tomorrow, you will not understand because you did not check, you did not cross-check. So as a student, we all need to cross-check, read journals, read newspapers, like I said, go to radio stations, check, and also try to make sure that your environment, you read things around you, you read people as well. Because when you read people,
when you say read people, what do you mean, please?
You know, like, should I say you? Should I?
No
Can
problem.
I say? So you like this now. There are some words that you tell me now. I'll be like, okay, I'll go and search it.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So that's what I mean by reading people, because I cannot just stay in an environment and I do not observe what is happening around me. No, I do observe when I come to a new environment, so it will make I'll know how.
So you are more like the fowl who comes to a new environment, raises one of the leg, watches before putting down the leg.
Yes. So and sometimes how to speak as well. So we all need to learn how to speak to help us in our environment.
Okay, so if you would, in one sentence, because we are rounding up already, give tips to people on how to develop a reading habit. What are the 5 things that you would tell them to do? Like somebody who doesn't read, but listening to you, hear the way you speak, and is like, wow, how do you even read? From what you've said, obviously you read people as well. So so what are the tips that you give to somebody who is watching or who will be watching this later on YouTube, Freedom Square TV? What will be the tips?
Well, for some people are not able to grab something very fast. Just like I said, when you don't read, when you are before starting your exams, like when you come back from lectures and you don't have time and you don't read that particular point, and then you see yourself in the exam hall. So what you are going to do is, maybe you have to like use social media, not only AI. When I mean social media, I mean your phones, because that's why it is handy. You check people that have said stories on it, people that have told their own tales, because not apart from, there's something called Wuthering Heights, a novel called Wuthering Heights. They acted it of recent, so many people are waiting for it to come out. Those are students that understand that this reading is important and it will come out in the exam. So when you read and you watch movies that entails to novels, it will help you as a student. So you have to, sometimes you watch those particular novels, poems that you are about to write, so that it will help you, because without you reading it or watching it, sometimes I do watch, if it is about novels, I make sure I watch I want to see the image, because when I'm writing, I'll see the image flash through my memory, then I'll be writing. But if I don't see that image, maybe on YouTube, I don't see Cecil or something, I will not be able to grasp what I'm writing. And if you're even telling me the story, I want to understand, because I do not watch it. So you
like to see.
Yes,
what you write.
You know, children like movies a lot. So when you are this kind of movie type, you make sure that when you are reading, you attach it to it.
Okay, so that's one of the things.
Yeah.
What about a situation whereby, like, would you tell them to read all the time? How many hours should they dedicate to reading? And do you, I know you're of the opinion that you, after reading, try to look for movies that are similar to that you can watch, take down the big words, get a dictionary, find the meaning of those words, and imply them in whatever you're doing daily. So apart from that, any other additions?
Well, sometimes if you are reading like AI, there are some words that they will tell you. So I feel like you should also ask, oh, what is this? What is the meaning of this? Sometimes when we are watching movies as well, so you can also add it when you are creating a speech.
Okay.
Not only on pulpit or whatever, but when you are like writing down, because there are some professors that when you are writing, they'll be like, wow, this child knows what she's writing, or he or she knows what he or she is doing. So that's it.
Okay, so on the final note, as we round up, what will be your advice to students and as well graduates like you? You've found your bearing, because as a student of graduate of English and Literary Studies, you found out that, see, that thing you wanted to do before you study, you can still do it. That's why you venture into event hosting, which is paying you. You're also meeting people who later in life would come to help you and all that. So what would be your advice? I want you to look into the camera and say this. What would be your advice to people watching you, young people who are saying, oh, so this is the course you read. Wow, so you mean I can also do this?
Okay, so my last word is that whatever you're doing, don't give up. Keep on going, because at the end of you will see light at the end of the tunnel. That's for sure. Because I never saw myself entering into hosting. I never imagined it, even in my 200 level. I just felt like, oh, it's going to be teaching. But the only word I can say is just believe in yourself. Because when you believe in yourself, you can be able to stand out, stand in the crowd, talk, and then people will listen. Because when I was an executive, I didn't want to enter executive, but when I was in charge of it, I was like, okay, I can do this. I can talk to students and they will listen. So that's it.
All right, people, from our discussion today, I've been able to pick down a lot of things. It is clear that reading is a very powerful tool for language development. That's one. Reading can also help you and I improve our vocabulary, understand grammar, and develop strong writing skills, not only for your exam. People are paid to write scripts, so you can also help yourself on that. And reading can also help you communicate more effectively. Just like she has said, even on your exam, when you talk to your lecturers, when you talk to your teachers, they will look at you and say, oh, this person is worded, like they say, or grounded in what they know. So I want to thank Miss Oluoma Paul Okafor for joining us today.
Thank you.
And for sharing your thoughts and insights with us right here on Reading Room on Freedom Square TV. And to our viewers and listeners, I need you to remember something. Developing a reading culture is one of the best investments that you can make for yourself, for your children, for that person very close to you. Okay? The more you read, the more you learn, and the better you communicate. So I want to say thank you so much for joining me today on Reading Room right here on Freedom Square TV. I want to say thanks to my camera woman who is making sure that you watch us live on Facebook. And yes, that's Chiamaka Chukwumezie. So I want to say thank you to her. God bless you. So remember, keep reading, keep learning, and keep growing. My name is Lilian Ezinwa. Thank you so much for joining us today. Bye.